Hey, you want to see something really scary?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
What was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Welcome to Fright Night.
Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Chad.
This week we're covering the 40th anniversary of The Thing.
Just discovered something. For 100,000 years, it was buried in the snow and ice. Now it has found a place to live. Inside. Where no one can see it, or hear it, or feel it.
I know I'm human. Some of you are still human. This thing doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation. It'll fight if it has to, but it's vulnerable out in the open. It takes us over. Then it has no more enemies. Nobody left to kill it. And then it's won.
You guys gonna listen to Gary? Give me one of those things!
Oh, The Thing. Well, for those of you that do not know, this is based on a novella by John W. Campbell called Who Goes There? And there was a movie in 1951 called The Thing from Another World. And then a bajillion years later, after The Thing, well, after the 1982 Thing, which is what we're celebrating and speaking about today, there was the 2011 prequel called The Thing.
The Thing. They didn't even bother trying to change the name.
Thing.
You'd think they could have done something before The Thing. Outpost 4 or whatever it was for the Norwegian camp. I forget. But yeah, they could have done something. But no, they just The Thing.
This is a John Carpenter film.
Which, you know, we all love him.
Woo! And I can't believe 40 years have gone by. I mean, I can and I can't. This is one of the few films, in my opinion, that still holds up till today because they use practical effects and it still looks freaking amazing. With the exception of the opening, which I wish they would tweak with the saucer.
Yeah, and the only other thing that really doesn't hold up for me is a couple of shots where they're standing looking down at the crashed saucer in the ice.
Yeah.
It's very clearly a matte painting. But at the same time, it was 40 years ago, so I'm willing to give them a little slack on that one. You know?
It's fine. It still looks fantastic. Like, we're in that crater site for like 20 seconds. It's not a big deal. And then also the beginning of watching the saucer crash, that also is very short. So we have more time of the actual practical effects and how amazing they look on film than we do those two other things. So it's okay.
So it balances it out.
This is, for me, an all-star cast. Everyone is in this movie. Who's not in the film? Of course, Kurt Russell's in the film.
Kurt Russell. This is, let's see, this was his third with Carpenter by this point, because they'd already done the Elvis movie and they had done Escape from New York the year before. So this was their third time working together. And everyone's favorite, Wilford Brimley, which, you know, I love the fact that Wilford Brimley, famous for his big mustache, this is the most famous movie he's in. He doesn't have the mustache in it.
Yeah, he hasn't, and nor does he have diabetes.
No, well,
diabetes.
He might have got that from The Thing.
Oh, that's true.
You also have Keith David as Childs. He worked with Carpenter several times as well, including on They Live. You have the guy Richard Masur. You'd know him. He was a character actor. He was in a lot of things in the 80s, and he actually passed on E.T. to be in this movie. He could have been the keys guy in E.T. that was chasing the little creature around, which would have probably been a better thing for him in terms of residuals, but who knows.
Donald Moffat.
Yep, he was playing Gary. And he always looks like, what's his name? James Cromwell. He always reminds me of him. The guy who was in 6 Feet Under, he was in Star Trek, he was in a lot of different things, and this guy always reminds me of him. Yeah.
He's one of those, he's also in Logan's Run.
Yeah.
So
he was in that TV show of that. He played the android. I think his name is like Bim or something like that.
Some android name.
Yeah, he has a very strange android name in that. And the rest of the people are all pretty much character actors that you've seen on different things throughout the years, but none of them really quite, blew up or took off anywhere. But you'd recognize all of them from being in different character roles throughout the years.
And the makeup is by now the elusive. Where are you?
Where are you, Rob Bottin?
Where are you, Rob Bottin? Where are you?
We need to find you, and we have many questions for you. Someone's going to do a documentary of that sooner or later, where they're finding Rob Bottin, and you're going to turn out he's like working at the McDonald's down the street from something. It's going to be something crazy.
He's entitled to his privacy. That's fine. I don't want to I get it, but at the same time, what a fucking talent! Wow. So talented.
Yeah, and I guess maybe he just gave up. Was like, look, all they're going to do is CGI. They're not going to use practical anymore. Who cares?
That's true. I mean, I get it, but it is sad. So everyone's name in this film, they all go mostly. I'm going to assume it's mostly their last names. Yeah. Obviously, we know McCready's R.J. McCready, but
we still have no idea what that stands for.
Yeah. McCready, Childs, Palmer, Clark, Knowles,
Windows. I'm guessing that's not his last name. I think because he was the guy with glasses, so he gets to be Windows.
Fuchs. I love all their names, by the way.
Yeah, everybody just has a cool name. They all just go by that.
And then there's Gary.
You can tell who they didn't like much. They were like, ugh, Gary is so boring. We'll just call him by his first name.
And Dr. Blair, who obviously is Wilford Brimley.
Yeah, now the other guy that was involved in this is Bill Lancaster, who was the screenwriter for it. And, people talk about how much trouble this caused for Carpenter, that Carpenter lost out on Firestarter. He was supposed to do that right after this. But this Bill Lancaster, he never worked again after The Thing. This was his last movie that he ever did. And despite the fact that he had some pretty successful movies before this just kind of ended out for him. And if you're thinking what did he do? Well, he had a run of successful movies in the 70s. He wrote all of the Bad News Bear movies that were so popular. They had a bunch of sequels. There was even TV shows. They made a ton of money, and he was responsible for all of those. And other than that, he had worked on a few TV shows, but The Thing was the last movie he ever did. He just pretty much retired out after that. And he actually wrote a script for Carpenter's Firestarter, which, from what I have heard, would have had Rob Bottin doing effects on it, because there's a lot of descriptions in that script of people bursting into flames. There's one where it says a person turns to a giant blister all over their entire body and pops.
Ooh.
So I'm pretty sure that was going to be Rob Bottin doing effects on that as well. And we didn't get to see that. So it was kind of a shame that he retired out, because he did a great job with the script for this. And you got to give him credit for being able to switch gears from going to from the Bad News Bears to The Thing. If you can successfully do that, you're a pretty talented writer, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, he did have Now, the 50s film and this film is different in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
There's in the 80s in this version, there's not one, everyone's a man.
Yeah, there's no women.
No woman. There's a woman in the 50s one.
Yeah, she was a reporter that was brought up from somewhere else to do a newspaper story back, when they had newspapers.
Yeah.
About everyone at the base.
And then from the novella, which, I mean, it's the whole thing. They're out there. They find, the ice.
Carpenter's version is much more faithful to the novel or the novella. It's closer to that, whereas the other one, there was no way they could do all these shape changing effects back in the 50s. So
it's literally I don't know if he's on stilts or whatever. He looks like Frankenstein.
No, that's the guy who plays the Thing in the 1951 one is the guy from Gunsmoke that played Sheriff Dillon. His name is James Arness, and he's 6'9".
Wow.
He's not on stilts. He's just huge. He's the brother of, what's his name? Peter Graves for the Mission Impossible movies.
I don't know how you hold all that information in your head. Obviously, it wasn't alive for any of these events, so I had no idea. So I just learned something along with you kiddos.
Yeah.
We just learned something
now,
together.
Carpenter's version has
and he's fucking
of...
huge. You said he's 6'9". That's why I'm there's no way. I thought he was wearing those Frankenstein boots. He's massive.
Yeah, he's a giant. That's why they picked him for it. Literally, was that he was the tallest guy they could find, and that's why on Gunsmoke. They were trying to hide the fact that he was. I mean, he's still taller than everyone on that. But if you watch a lot on Gunsmoke, people are standing where you don't see their feet because they're standing on boxes.
It's forced perspective kind of thing.
That way you don't realize that he's a giant.
Yeah, and he definitely is a giant. There's a scene in the film where they're kind of all. I mean, the film's in black and white, so they have to obviously play on light and shadow in there, which adds. Carpenter's obviously was in color. So, but the dark and light whole thing, they play with that. And he's standing in the doorway. And everyone else, there's 4 men looking. They're in the room and they're looking out to the doorway. And all you see is the outline of this massive figure with light coming out behind him. Which reminds me of the whole image that they have in The Thing. With the guy in the gear with the light
of it with the light coming. That was kind of their homage to that. And there's a lot of little things in Carpenter's version from the 50s one as well. In the 1950s version, they go out and they find the saucer under the ice, and they all line up to try to let's get everyone line up to try and find the edge. And that's where they realize it's a perfect circle. And you see them doing that on the Norwegian tape when they're watching the tapes from the Norwegian camp. You see all of them line up in the circle like that. And the big giant block of ice that you find at the Norwegian camp was also from the 50s version, because they said in that one it looked like the ship crashed and he came out of it and collapsed and then was frozen over in the ice. And that's why you see, and even in the prequel they show them cutting the creature out of the ice in a big block and bringing it in.
Yeah.
In the 50s version, I believe they laid an electric blanket on it by accident.
And it thaws it out, and that's what starts all the things.
And in that,
no pun intended.
Yeah. They tried to make it in the 50s version, they tried to make it it's a plant-based creature, and it's growing little plants of itself, little seed pods in their greenhouse, and it steals the blood and is using the blood to help grow the little creature. So they did try to make it a little bit different than just a strange bug-eyed monster. They tried to give it it's plant-based, and that's why the cold doesn't seem to bother it. Also, the famous scene in that one where they set it on fire, and it runs and jumps out the window. You have that in the Carpenter version, where after they do the blood test, he sets the one on fire and it jumps out the window, smashing through it. So he tried to do a lot of little homages to the 50s version in his, too.
Now, the novella, which was from 1938.
Yeah.
Now, that is a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
And obviously, the whole, I don't want to say thing, but that the unknown, who is next door to you, who could be your enemy, someone that looks just like you, the malintent. I mean, there's so many different things, no pun intended. There's so many different ideas that you can really like think and like put in a situation and the time frame that like when the novel came out, and then in the 50s, like the dawn of the Cold War, like that.
Everyone was paranoid about in the 50s about, oh, is your neighbor a communist? Are they secretly a Russian agent? And that was the whole thing of Invasion of the Body Snatchers was, you know, oh, it's all about communism and the rise of people. You know, you don't know who your neighbors are. Are they secretly communists? They might be, but no one cared eventually.
So this is your favorite film.
Yes, this is hands down my favorite horror movie.
This for one of your milestone birthdays, I recreated the Thing.
Yeah, she transformed the whole house into the Outpost 31.
Yeah, the bottom, the downstairs was the outside. It had the whole gasoline tank and the snow all over the stairs. And I mean, it actually was my favorite. It was very nerve-wracking because it was a surprise party. It didn't tell you until like the day before that was happening.
The upstairs was transformed. We had the chess, the computer chess going. We had old radios, dart games.
I had the girls, the posters of the girls on the wall.
Yep. It was pretty spectacular.
It was pretty, yeah, it was pretty fun.
And then we had Jello shot blood samples.
Yes, we did.
And a cake with a little wolf dog going out being chased by a moving helicopter.
Yep.
So that went over well. Everyone had a great time at that.
Everyone did have a really good time. The reason why I brought it up is because you love the film so much, like how I am with Halloween, and we have to go back and actually redo Halloween because I didn't do it justice because we didn't actually do it on its own. I don't think we did the whole. We discussed all of them at the same time. Yeah. And I get when I'm passionate about something, and then also the insomnia issues that I have, like my brain isn't wired properly anymore, and I get very like, and I get crazed, and there's a rant, and I'm not able to fully express how, I feel about something, or, my passion overrides like my whole body. So I shut down and become a maniac. But like you own like multiple versions. It's like, oh shit, the DVD or the Blu-ray broke. That's fine. I got it on VHS. That's fine. I got another Blu-ray. That's fine. I got another. I mean, you got multiple versions of this. Copies, I should say.
I still have to go and eventually buy a region-free player to play that one I won on that contest. I won the Arrow video version of it from England. It's like a deluxe box set. It comes with lobby cards, a book, everything, and I don't have an all-region player, which I need to invest in one sometime, just so. But I need like more foreign DVDs before I do that, because I hate to buy it for just the one.
Anyone that listens to us overseas that, just has extra ones laying around that maybe whatever, we'll pay for the postage, just send it over.
We'd be happy to have it.
We'll add it on to, we have a lot of dead technology in the house.
Yeah, I need a Laserdisc player. We still have a couple of VCRs and other things, but yeah, I need to find a Laserdisc player somewhere. Now, I first saw this movie. I didn't get to see it when it first came out, but I did read, back at the time, Starlog magazine serialized the original novella every month for several months before the movie came out. They printed a couple of chapters of it, and I read the original novella and was all excited to see the movie, and then it came out and my mom was like, oh no, it's R-rated, you can't go see that, it's going to be way too scary and freaky. Damn it. But eventually it came on HBO and I got to see it there, so I didn't even see it until whenever it came on HBO, but I already was excited to see it and knew I was going to love it because I love the story. But it just took me a little while longer to get to see the actual movie.
Guys, when it came on HBO, it was probably like 2 years later. Because let me tell you, it's not like now where it's like the movie literally is in the theater and then like 2 weeks later it's like streaming somewhere. This is not how like life actually was back in the day.
It was probably a year later. I'm not sure. I don't know if you can look that up or not, but it was a while later.
I just wanted the people to know that this was a big deal to have to wait for something that you were like anticipating and really wanted to watch. And then did you have to do like the sneak? Like, did you have to do the sneak, or were you just watching with your mom and she was like, fine, we'll just watch it?
Yeah, she was like, if you get real, she was afraid I was going to freak out by it because she had heard like some of the things that went on with it, and I was like, I'll be fine. Let me watch Alien. It was fine on that. So by the time, I think she just didn't want to have to take me to the theater to see it,
So Now, most of these things are things that I'm going to point out that are like things that obviously if they were resolved at the moment, we wouldn't have a fucking movie. There would be no plot. But at the beginning of the film, after the saucer lands and we see the helicopter that has the Norwegian scientists, whatever, Outpost 4 people, they're going, shooting at this dog. And the dog is running away. And then eventually, the copter's down. And the guy's like trying to kill this dog, and now they're on Outpost 31, which is where our movie begins. And he's telling them, like, this fucking dog is an alien and killed all my peeps.
And no one speaks Norwegian.
No. So that
or
part.
Keith David says, "Do I look Norwegian to you, Moana?"
So that whole part is just like, oh no, like, he's telling you, like, don't fucking let that dog live, kill that motherfucking dog. And of course, it's like a husky, and Clark is like obsessed with the huskies. Like, he has a whole... He's a dog handler. Yeah, so. He has like 5 or 6 dogs or whatever, and those are like his best friends. And of course, he's like, aw, buddy. He's like nuzzling him. He's like, petting him. And now, now we're fucked. Because now this thing is in camp. And it is fucking malicious.
Yeah, and that dog is a great actor. Because that dog just walks around looking creepy as hell. Like looking at people, gives them the evil eye. It sees them going out to the camp. It's looking like menacingly out the window. And you're like, damn, this dog is a better actor than some people I've seen in other movies.
That dog's name is Jed.
Yep. And they talked a lot about him on the making of. They're like, even Carpenter was like, that was the best animal I've ever worked with.
Wow. Yeah, because that's like one of the children and animals, and then obviously the elements or the things that are against the director because they're just so fucking difficult to work with.
Yeah, they said that dog was amazing. All they had, as long as everyone was like calm and did their stuff, didn't freak it out with loud noises, he was fine.
For me, and this has nothing to do with the movie per se, I just want to say that, man, McCready is very attractive. Kurt Russell is just like, woo, he's just, wow. I want to be stuck in Antarctica with him. You could be there too, but I mean, whatever. That's it. I just wanted to just basically state that he was just really good looking.
Well, that's the thing. There's a lot of people on this. They're like, I've heard that before. They're like, yeah, I'll be trapped in the Antarctic outpost. There's a lot of women. They're like, well, I'll trap in that outpost with them. There's all pretty good looking guys in there. Even the least good looking guys, fine. I
only want McCready. That's it. I only want McCready and the Jim Beam, and we're good. We're good. Oh, wait a second. And the hat.
The hat, yeah.
The hat is my favorite. I fucking love that hat. If I won the lottery, I would pay the $400 it costs to fucking have this hat made. It's like $400 to $700. It's a crazy amount, but it's like
it's available. You can buy it. It's still a crazy amount.
It makes sense because the hat literally is like Noah's Ark. Like everyone could fit in the world in this hat. The hat is fucking huge. It is the largest hat I've ever seen in my life. It's like, if you thought what is his name? Pharrell. If you thought Pharrell was wearing a big ass hat, that was like a mini version of that ridiculous hat that Pharrell wore for 3 years. I feel like he wore that hat.
Yeah, the description of the hat is the unique hat styled after McCready and the Kurt Russell character in The Thing. It has a 4-dent military style that has the largest dimensions we can make, a whopping 6-inch crown and 5-inch brim. They go from $425 all the way up to $850. So the hat can cost you close to $1,000.
Worth every fucking penny. Worth every penny, okay? Because this hat's just fantastical. Do you have... it's been 40 years. If you have not seen this movie, press pause. Come back to jump scare. Jump back into jump scare. I just had to do something stupid. And then watch the movie and then come back and then hear the rest of this because it's not spoiler free. It's been 40 years.
Yeah, it's been 40 years. If you haven't seen it by now, go see it.
If ever, and don't go see it in one of those Phantom events because that's a nightmare.
No,
it's over. So
it's over, but yeah, they were not good.
Now
we saw it a few years back at the Tampa Theater.
And that was fabulous.
It was fine because I think they still do a lot on film. I don't think everything is, but I think that one might have been because it looked like it was a little grainy in spots and stuff, but that just kind of lent to it since I think it was on film with that one.
Now, if I would not be bringing back some Inhuman. So when they go back to see, like, what the hell is up with this guy? Like, what is up with this? What is going on? They go back to the camp, and it's not good. It's like in Event Horizon. It's like nothing good happened here. This is all terrible.
You go into the camp and you see, like, there's just axes and walls. It's burned down. There's a guy with his wrist slit just sitting in front of the radio, and you're like, nope, nothing good happened here.
All that's fucked up. But, and I understand Blair, like, he's a doctor, okay? So, in that regard, he's like a scientist. He wants to, like, find out whatever. I don't know. No. Did you see that thing? Okay? It was horrifying.
It's in the pit outside where they tried to burn it.
Yeah, it's
There's
all burned. It's frozen and, like, it's just terrible looking. It's just, I'm not bringing that back.
But they had to pick that thing up, put it
Someone
in a bag,
had to touch that.
and put it in a bag and carry it back to the base. It's like, no. See, now this would all be a lot easier because they could just take digital pictures of it with their phones and then get the hell out of there and take pictures back to show everyone.
You want to do a show and tell? You want to find out? You fucking operate right there. Get the scalpel out. And just cut that motherfucker open, and that's it. Do it right there. Don't bring it back to where we're at. Like, hello, not a good idea. This is a terrible idea.
Don't bring the creepy alien remains back to your house. I don't know how many times we have to tell people that, but apparently one more because they do it in every movie. They're like, nope, let's just drag it back. It'll be fine.
Is it just American arrogance? And I say that because obviously they're on foreign land. You know, they're not in America. To think like they see all of this horror and they're just like, it's fine. It's not going to happen to us. You know?
All right. We got this covered. They didn't have flamethrowers there. We do.
Yeah, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. And it's like, no, you're not going to be fine. You're not going to be fine because you have no idea what the fuck you're in for until they put the dog. And this is the saddest part of the movie for me. You know, I don't go out of my way to watch films that have like some kind of animal get hurt or tortured or anything like that. But if it happens, I'm able to sit through it. Okay, I'm going to get through. But I cringe every time because all the other dogs are also good actors because they're whimpering, they're fucking afraid. It's not good times. And it's like one of the scare. I mean, obviously, it's the first introduction to the thing, and it's horrifying.
Yeah, when the dog from the camp starts changing, and like he's like shooting tentacles out at him, and then he's like spraying some kind of liquid from his mouth.
The spray is so gross. It looks like
that's the worst part of it. When you see that, you're just like, ugh. Just grabbing him with the tentacles is one thing, but do you have to spray him with bodily fluids? Like, is it spitting on them? Is it bleeding, pissing on them? I don't know what it is, and I don't want to know. Just keep me out of it. And
the genius of the animals, like when he first enters, like, and he just sits down and he's looking at them. You see the dogs, like they're smelling him. They're like, nope. This is not it. This is not good. This is not a dog. Like, they know right off the bat, this motherfucker sus. Like,
yep.
It's not gonna go down. Clark, come help us out.
Please kill the dog, Clark.
And then Clark is he's so sad. That part's so sad. Because his poor friends.
And yeah, it's bad times for all the dogs. Even later on when they're like, oh, they managed to save a few of them, but no, that's when Blair goes crazy and kills all the dogs. I'm like, well, why did he kill the dog? I guess in case, they couldn't get out with the dog sleds, but still. It was just rough times to be a dog on that base. It was bad enough for the people, but at least they had a shot. The dogs got killed off right away. Yeah,
I mean, once they discover that this thing is able to clone itself and, become whatever it is that they want to become, it wants to become, then it's like the trust. Everyone's paranoid. Like, I can't trust you. I don't even know. Are you the thing? Like, you don't know. Who goes there? are you McCready or you're Thing McCready? So, you know, and that obviously is carried throughout the whole film. Is there a certain scene that you just love out of all the other scenes?
The blood test has always been a favorite of mine, and the part where they're what's his name has a heart attack, and Blair jumps up on him to give him the, you know, he's going to do the what do you call it, the defibrillator. He hits him with the defibrillators. That's when his chest just cracks open, turns to a giant mouth, and bites his arms off. And then after they torch the body, you get like the most popular lines of the movie, where you have the guys, they realize the head has grown spider legs and eyes and starts to crawl away, and then you hear the guy do the,
You gotta be fucking kidding.
yeah, everybody remembers that part of it because that's one of the greatest lines of all time.
I know that's your favorite line.
And then the blood test is, the thing with the blood test is, I always know, because obviously after you've seen it the first time, you know who's going to be the Thing. But if there's long enough in between your viewings of it, you're kind of like, is this the part where he's the one or not? You can't necessarily remember. So it's a little bit of a shock as soon as he puts the hot needle into the blood, it jumps out and runs away. Like, it literally just grows legs and runs away. And you're like, oh shit.
You know, the fucked up shit happening in my brain, I actually always forget who the Thing is. So I'm like watching that scene for the most part for like the first time. You know, I never try to like focus in who it is, because I know obviously it's one of them, but it's like kind of new for me. And I've seen the movie. I mean, I've seen the movie. I haven't seen the movie as many times as you have, and I haven't seen the movie obviously as many times as I've seen Halloween. I mean, I've had Halloween in the background when I'm like cleaning, you know, washing dishes. But I've seen it enough times. But yeah, that scene, both scenes are great scenes. The whole fucking film is great. There's nothing besides the two things that we mentioned earlier with the graphics, which is a sign of the times. I mean, everything else is just perfect.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know if anybody else out there has read this, but there is a book that came out in the 80s by a guy, I think his name is Greg Bear. And he wrote this book called Blood Music. And it's about someone that develops a serum. And he ends up, I don't remember if he takes it on purpose or accidentally, but it's kind of like the Thing, because it causes every cell in his body to become intelligent. Like, so literally he has like millions or billions of like intelligent creatures inside of him after that, to where they're all talking to him at once, and they're all trying to reach like a consensus of what they should do. And he eventually starts like going and leaving like pieces of himself places so that it'll spread to other people, and he's just spreading himself across the whole world, where every cell of everything will be like a hive mind thing. It's very creepy.
Ooh.
So yeah, I've always thought that'd be a good one to turn into a movie, but it's just kind of one of those ones that fell by the wayside. People don't talk about a lot anymore.
Now, obviously Campbell's story is fucking a science fiction classic, and I mean, he's a classic man himself. He's one of the forefathers of science fiction.
Yeah, he did a lot of editing and different things for books as well. So, yeah, he did a lot.
There's magazine Astounding Stories and a shit ton of stuff. Now, in saying that, and I lost my train of thought. A lot of other TV shows,
especially TV shows, have picked up on this and used this formula to very good show. Oh, sorry, I stumbled on that one there. They've all been pretty good. The ones that have been copied off of this, they've done their homages, some more than others, but yeah, they've all been pretty good.
Now, the X-Files.
Deep beneath the Arctic Circle, an ancient terror sleeps.
Nothing can survive for 250,000 years.
Waking it was their first mistake. Trying to stop it could be their last. The X-Files. Don't watch it alone.
Put it down!
Friday at 9, 8 Central.
That's like straight up the Thing.
Yeah, they actually, I don't think they go to Antarctica in that one. They go like somewhere up in Alaska. But they still go to a cold area. They've dug something up from the ice. It infects people. They start acting weird and that. And that was one of the first season X-Files episodes. And I think that was one of the ones when a lot of like people who were kind of on the fence about X-Files were like, okay, this is really good. They, They actually did their homage to the thing. There's even dogs in that one. Because Duchovny ends up, I think he adopted one of the dogs in real life. And yeah, that was a great episode because it goes with the whole paranoid. I think their line in that one is, "You may not be who you are." So they start, you got that one. I always enjoyed that one a lot. And another one that surprisingly did it, the third season finale of Deep Space Nine was called The Adversary.
An enemy.
I want that changeling found.
So powerful.
The weapons array is activated. The ship's no longer under our control.
So elusive.
Could look like anything.
So devious.
Dominion is hoping to start a war.
When the battle is over,
initiate auto-destruct sequence.
The war has just begun.
Don't you see? You've lost.
On the next Star Trek, Deep Space Nine.
And in it, you have one of the aliens called the Changelings that can change shape, gets on board the Defiant with the crew, and is running around trying to sabotage the ship and murder the people. And they actually do the blood test scene in that, where they go from person to person taking blood samples, because in that, if you take a sample from the Changeling, it won't just be blood, it'll turn back into the little blobs that they normally look like.
Yeah. Oh, the X-Files episode is called Ice.
Ice, yeah, sorry.
Which, hello.
Yeah.
Now, The Adversary, the Deep Space Nine episode.
Yeah.
So, yes. They check the blood with the tricorder readings.
Yeah, it's hard to tell it's actual changeling with the tricorder, but they are able to. When, like I said, if you pull a piece of the changeling off, it reverts back to the little gelatinous blob. So that's why when they take the blood, they wait for the thing to, is it going to stay regular blood or will it turn into a little blob? And what's hilarious to me on that one is one of the guys in that is another one that you would recognize from famous sci-fi movies. His name is Ken Marshall. He plays one of the security officers in it, and he was the lead in Krull. He played the guy with the glaive that went around in it. And it's just kind of funny that years later, the guy from Krull, which came out the same year as, I believe it came out the same year as the thing. Oh, no, it was the next year. But you got that guy in it, and then he's, been in a few science fiction things now.
Now, Odo, who's being played by Rene Auberjonois,
yes,
he is a changeling.
Yeah.
So he's already a shapeshifter on board. Now we have this other evil one that's able to do that. And so that one had kind of like a different dynamic. It's like, I'm not like this. Like, I'm not evil, And he has like, I don't want to hurt anyone. I've never hurt anyone. Like, and I'm a security officer and I've been in this, whatever. He has this whole like monologue. But this other thing is trying to, he has his reasons and he's trying to do the thing and he's shape-shifting. And let me tell you, the graphics on that, this is what's crazy. Practical effects, if they're done, obviously, really well, they can stand the test of time. CGI effects, they're literally, when you look at them, they do not, now I'm looking at, like, films now where, like, I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm blown the fuck away. I'm like, who's to say in 10, 20 years, 5 years, this may look like hot garbage,
Yeah, because the shape-shifting effects in that are like, ooh.
It's rough.
Yeah. Close to 30 years ago, this was probably fine. But now you look at it and go, oh, no. And plus, back at the time, you were looking at on old TVs that weren't high definition or any of that. So it looked a lot better when it was, a little blurry. And of course, the area where I live, they almost always screwed up when they showed Deep Space Nine. Sometimes the sound would be off, the picture would be messed up, so you didn't notice it as much back then, but now you sure do.
Now, one of the quotes is, he could replace any one of us and we wouldn't know until it's too late. Bum, bum, bum.
Yep.
And then, like, what is the whole, like, what is the thing? And both for input in the film and the thing, and we never get to know what the end, like, motivation or, like, what the end result is for
the creature. What was it?
The creature.
Because we never actually talk to the creature.
No.
Like, it never, like, addresses anyone and says, like, I don't mean to harm you or whatever. It never says anything. It just...
I'm sorry. It just literally, like, ate someone inside out. The bitch meant to harm somebody.
Well,
like...
It's
no, I know what you mean.
It never comes out and says, like, I didn't want to do this, I'm just scared and trying to get out of here. No, you never hear anything from its point of view. You don't even know what it thinks. Like, how does it think?
Well, in the 82 version, the version we're discussing today, the Dr. Blair is building a spaceship. He's trying to build his own spaceship. Yeah. So he's trying to get the fuck out of there. So, there you go. So I guess that's the whole thing.
But was he trying to leave the planet, or was he trying to just leave Antarctica?
That's a good question. But if I came from, like, a planet that was, like, mad cool and didn't have, like, these weird, like, two-legged things walking around, like, destroying the planet, I would not want to be there. I would be like, I'm gone. Like, if the planet was, like, freaking an amazing, like, tropical place, I'm out. Like, I'm not trying to stay.
And for that matter, what is it? We never really know what the thing actually looks like. What's its real appearance?
It's okay. Now wait, don't get mind blown. Okay, I'm gonna take it real sciencey right now. It's probably like how the scientists now say, oh yeah, there's like life forms on Mars or whatever, but they're like microscopic life forms. So like, and everyone's like, oh whatever, I'm not worried about that. It's not the fucking Greys. That's cool. No, I'm more scared about the microscopic fucking life forms, because those bitches, you don't know what their fucking intent is. They could just go up my nose and that's it. Now I'm a fucking alien. Like I got thinged. The Greys, they're trying to do butt stuff. Okay, I'm not cool with that either, but at least I see they're not trying to be, they are trying to be inside of me, but you know what I mean. It's different.
They're trying to take you over from the inside.
Yeah, it's different. So no, I think that something to that, it has to be that small or maybe a little larger, but it's obviously not this massive, humongous thing, because, fuck, we don't know, because we never see it. It's just a dog. Like, we just see it.
We know they have technology, they have a spaceship, they go places, but...
And then who's the first one? So, okay, I don't remember the one with, what's-her-face, the girl from Scott Pilgrim, Elizabeth Winstead. I don't remember anything from that film, because I saw it and I immediately deleted it off my head. So, that whole... Who was the first one to get infected in that film?
I don't remember on that one who got infected. I remember...
Not that it matters, because it's a prequel and it really has nothing to do with the thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's not in the same world per se, so we'll never really know who was the first one, because they do have... I guess that's the whole thing with, like, Event Horizon, because that's kind of like the thing, in a sense. Right? We never really know. We just see through the tapes what they did. The videos that the Norwegians took. We see them... with the whole wrapping around the crater to see the size, them bringing the creature in.
One thing I'll say for the 2011 one was they did a really good job of like recreating the Norwegian camp and showing like this is when they come in, when McCready and Blair come in, and there's like or not Blair, the doctor, Blair's the Wilford Brimley. When then the doctor come in and they see like an axe sticking in the door. And then they see the guy with his wrists cut in front of the radio. They did a good job of like recreating those scenes and showing you what happened in them, showing you how the creature got burned, showing how the block of ice got broken and that kind of stuff. I remember they did a pretty good job setting all that up, but it was like a lot of the work was already done for you. You knew where it was supposed to be. You just had to wait for it to see it happen, you know? So that was one of the things I liked about that version.
Now, the Futurama, which you kind of touched base on. The Futurama, I saw it really long time ago, and then I saw it again recently.
Yeah, they did one called Murders on the Planet Express. And hilarious. They are going to a team building exercise, and they end up picking up a hitchhiker who turns out to be a shape-shifting creature that begins eating the crew one at a time.
He shapeshifts and he eats the people, like the whole, like his whole body opens up into like a big mouth and he just swallows them whole.
Yeah, and then at the end of the episode, they find out that, oh, no, this is the one guy's like, yeah, that's my friend. He's a shapeshifter. We work on these team building exercises together. Everyone's fine. They're all up in the bridge right now eating pizza and having a good time.
Yeah, and you don't know, Bender and Fry, they're like, we don't know if that's real. Like, so they just fucking shoot the shit out of him and kill him.
They shoot him until there's nothing left
until there's dust, and then they shoot the dust. And it just dissipates.
And then when finally someone comes in and is like, hey, you guys gonna come up to the bridge and have pizza? The rest of us are having a great time. Hey, what happened to Gary or whatever his name was that was doing the team building? And they're like, Yeah, we don't know. He just left.
Now, what I love about that episode is it's such a classic throwback to, like, well, for me anyways, I don't know if that was the intent, but he's part of that generation, so I'm going to say yes, of the old, like, TV shows that would have, like, their weird Halloween episode, or, like, the random weird episode that was, like, very, like, out of the fucking blue, like the science fiction episode. There's always a random weird episode in, like, old TV shows where, like, everyone dies or some crazy shit happens to the characters, and you're like, oh my god, what the fuck? And in the end, it's like, oh, just kidding, everyone's fine, wink wink, it was just a dream, or it was all just a joke, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the creepy Punky Brewster episode where they're all trapped in the cave, or some of the other creepy shit that happened on these old shows. Yeah, I enjoyed that too. I just love the fact that they just,
Bender gets ears.
Yeah. He's like, hey, when did you get ears? I've always had ears. He's like, ah, crap. And then just, he turns to the creature and eats her.
Yeah. And that's how you know. And then the shapeshifter runs away, but then it's back in the room. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's the part that kills me.
It just keeps coming back, and like,
but you never see it enter it because it already inhabited the person who's just already standing there. Yeah. So like, but he leaves the room, like the fucking door opens and he exits. So it's like, how the fuck is he back in the room and in already someone else's body? Now that person eats the next person. Like, I mean, obviously the episode is only so many. It's like what, 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
Like, so they can't be there forever. They're just taking them out. McMasters was the business consultant.
Oh, okay.
Okay, McMasters. And then in the end, here we are just watching TV casually, and oh no, there's a news report. And the news report is McMasters.
Missing.
He's missing.
And there's a reward. They offer a $1 million reward, or for information leading to the arrest of the person, or they offer a special deal. If someone comes forward that's involved with the murder and implicates another person, they'll get immunity and $2 million. And you see Bender and Fry just looking at each other on the couch. Like,
they're doing a fucking squinty eyed side to side because they were just having a conversation on how they would never rat the other one out.
And that's like, who's going to get to the cops first? I love it because that ends it on the same note as the thing ends, of the, like, what's going on, who's gonna, instead of who's the thing, it's like who's gonna go rat on the other one first.
Oh goodness. And and of course what has happened over the years with the film is the ending. There's in the nerdy film community, horror film community, or sci-fi community, all the communities.
They have all been fighting it out for years over who was the thing.
Who was the thing?
Who was the first one to be infected? Because you see the dog go into a room and there's an outline of someone, and you just kind of see the shadow like move and reach down towards the dog. So you don't know. We find out later it wasn't Clark. So it was one of the others, but we don't know who the first one to be infected was.
But there was McCready's jacket or shirt was all torn up, like, in the film.
Plant that just to implicate McCready?
But we never know if it's planted or not, or did it get him? Now, the whole time that we've discussed this, the whole time we're saying Childs is the thing for several different reasons. He doesn't have breath, like. I think there was like one thing of breath that he has, but then there's no breath, and then what's the other thing?
You don't really see him, like, I've heard people say, well, when you get cold enough that your body temperature equals out to what's there, you won't see your breath anymore. It's like, well, we were seeing Kurt Russell's, and he was doing the same he was in the same area, so you'd think you'd be seeing his breath too. But there's also the theory that the bottles that he's carrying at the end are some of the Molotov cocktails that they had made, where they had put this gasoline into the old whiskey bottles and were throwing it, and he's just carrying it around like opened. So one of the theories is that there's gasoline in that, and when he passes it to Childs, and Childs just takes a drink and doesn't be like, what the fuck is this? You see McCready start to laugh and sit back, and he's like, okay, he knows he's the alien because he doesn't know what whiskey would taste
exactly.
like.
He literally chuckles the second that Childs fucking swallows. Like, it's like to the second, like, boom, I took the sip and I swallowed, and then he chuckles and he fucking like lays back. And then they're like, you know, talking like we'll see who's...
We'll just wait and see what happens.
Okay, so for me, the Thing would never harm the Thing. I know that doesn't make sense, but like, if the Thing is MacReady, he would just... It's never been shy about eating the fucking person and taking the person out. It's always been like, hey, this is me. This is what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Like, there's never been like, you know, oh, whatever. Now, MacReady, he obviously isn't the Thing because, like you said, that whole thing with the bottle, which I totally, he's laughing because he's like, you don't know what that fucking tastes like. You know?
You don't know it's gasoline.
You don't know it's gasoline.
Because you're an alien. You don't know what it's supposed to taste like.
And then he's like, yeah, and I'm going to blow you. And then he's just going to fucking blow his ass up.
Yeah, or he's just going to sit there and they're going to freeze to death because whatever. You know, you don't really know.
You don't know. But you know who does know? John Carpenter. And he has said that he is going to die with that knowledge because he is never going to fucking release who the Thing is. But is he going to pull a Walt Disney?
As he dies, he just says Kurt Russell, and everyone's like, God damn it, I knew it was him. When we saw Carpenter, I always remember that girl that asked him, like, so do you know who the Thing is? And he's like, yes, I definitely know who it was. And she's like, oh. He's like, oh, I'm not going to tell you. Next question.
Yeah.
His life. And it's like, Carpenter, you could have at least said, nah, I don't know who it is. Something, but no, he just said, oh yeah, I know exactly who it was.
He would never make it Kurt Russell. It's impossible for Kurt Russell to be the Thing because he would have just taken him out. Like, he would have just eaten fucking Childs. Now, mind you, Childs could just take him out too, but I don't know. Like,
maybe he was like, I'll try and play it cool, and like if there's a rescue or something,
or he sleeps because we saw that dog sitting in the middle of the room. He was just sitting there. He didn't have to get up and go to eat in front of each and every single dog to get him. He had his little wispy fucking arm weird fucking tentacle things fucking flying around. All he needs to do is just spit out one of those little tentacle things into fucking MacReady's boot. He's right there. They're like inches from each other. And just that's it. You're infected. Now you're fucked. You know? And now you're doubled.
Our band name should be MacReady's Hat.
MacReady's Hat. That's our band name. Do not fucking steal this band name. People in the world. This is our band name now. MacReady's Hat.
The greatest hat and greatest band of all time.
What's the movie that has MacReady's as a store in the background?
That's Slither. MacReady. Yeah, it's in Slither. Because the guy is named MacReady in it. And it's just like MacReady's General Store. Yeah. So yeah, that one's James Gunn did that one in like 2006, I think it came out. But yeah, that one's pretty good too. I always like that. It is a very good movie. So, yeah, we've seen The Thing, Who Goes There, in TV shows. They've done their homages. Obviously, you know, this is one of the few films, like I started saying in the beginning, that has a good, you know, this is how you do a remake or revisioning or whatever you want to call it correctly. You just expand from the original and just make it better. Like, now, who's to say that it's going to be better? Because obviously they, you know, the 50s, they were very limited, you know, but it's just John Carpenter, Rob Bottin, like the whole team's like genius of putting all this together and just creating a fresh, new, amazing story, you know, like The Fly. The original Fly, I prefer the original Fly more than I prefer Who Goes There. I think the original Fly is Fly. But you know, then you have Cronenberg's The Fly, and that's just like mind blowing. It's amazing to me that like three of the best remakes of all time, the originals were all made in the 50s and remade in the 80s, with The Thing, The Blob, and The Fly.
Because it's all people that loved it when they were kids and they saw that shit, and that's what fucking probably inspired them to like become filmmakers or whatever, because that's, you know, their imagination was expanded. Because, you know, like you've told me, you know, comic books, they were banned and seen whatever, and you know, science fiction that was like so looked down upon, and like, you know, you had to hide that shit or just sneak it, you know, in and stuff like that. So it was just, even in Back to the Future, there's a whole scene where Michael J. Fox has to pretend to be, astronaut, whatever, alien from another planet, because he's reading Crispin Glover's character. His father is reading, those science fiction magazines and short stories and stuff, and that's what gives him the power to go and ask the mom to the prom and shit. But even then, like, that was a big thing, like an influence. Yeah. So it's like they influenced those filmmakers to make it, and then they fucking made something fantastical.
Yeah, they took everything that they loved and just made it better.
And then they couldn't do it again because you can't pull it off. I would never see a remake of The Thing. It's not going to be good. I don't care who does it. It's not going to be. You could get. I don't. It's never going to be good.
Well, what amazed me was when they remade it, they did all practical effects again. They were like, "Hey, we're going to do all practical again." They watched it and said, "Nah, replace them with digital," and then just dumped all the practical effects. Ended up being used at the Universal Halloween Horror Nights out in California.
Yeah, can we just see the film with the practical effects? It's more than just the practical.
There's a version of it that exists.
Well, no, I know. That's
just put it out. I would buy that just to see it.
A lot of it is there's so many different gears, that all interplay one another to create the whole. It's a big machine, and the machine is just you have to have the right cast, the effects, the story, the director's vision, like all of that, and it's hard to recapture that. It's like lightning in a bottle, know. And could it be done again? Maybe, I don't know, but probably not. A classic is a classic for a reason, and just let it be a classic, because when you look in Google, the first thing that's going to come up is going to be the most recent thing, and it's going to be, the worst one. And I don't mean The Thing, I meant just like the recent version of a film. Now,
speaking of, we talked about a lot of the TV homages to this. Some of the films that have been of this homages to this too are, and we covered this one, was Leviathan.
Oh yes,
that's just the Thing underwater. It's literally a little creature that invades people's bodies, turns them into monsters. Pretty good. It was released during the year of when there were all the aquatic movies were coming out. When you had like Deep Star 6, The Abyss, everything was coming out that year. And of course, I think the ultimate movie homage to The Thing is Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight. Because you even get Kurt Russell back in that one to be a guy trapped in a freezing cold area with a bunch of people who may not be what they seem. And you even have, Ennio Morricone doing leftover music from The Thing, using that in it, and actually winning an Academy Award for it, which, he didn't get the first time around.
It's ironic because everyone hated the soundtrack the first time around when it came out.
Well, everybody hated the movie in general, but...
Well, yeah, that too, because, people are stupid.
Well, this is amazing to me that this movie came out the same day as... Blade Runner came out the same day as this movie, and then either the week before or the week after E.T. came out. So it's like... all these like sci-fi things came out in such a short time from each other, and then Blade Runner and The Thing both bombed. Nobody cared about those at the time. Years later, everybody loved them, but the general public didn't catch on at first. But E.T. just took over that whole summer. There was nothing going on but E.T. that summer.
Which is wild, because if you think about it, and you know what, I'm gonna just solely put it, it's not because the storytelling was bad or anything dealing with the movies were bad. It's literally that was for a certain kind of person, a certain group, and a certain age. E.T. is for everybody. A kid that's gonna allow you to bring your kids, and your kids are gonna be able to view it, that's gonna be fucking boom, hit right there. You got a rated R movie, and I don't know what Blade Runner was, probably rated R. That's very limited.
Yeah, The Thing was never going to get a PG-13.
Hell
was
no.
Going to get R.
And it doesn't deserve it. I would.
Blade Runner could have probably pulled off a PG-13, to be quite honest.
Maybe, but it's too over the top for a kid. It's too over their head.
It wouldn't have been good for kids, but that's the thing. Is E.T. was just the family-friendly film that took everything, by storm that year, and they had the unfortunate to be released right before it. So no one cared.
I think a lot of the films that we love, like in the horror genre, are overshadowed by other films. Same thing happened in the Monster Squad.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love that film, so I don't want to hear any.
Yeah, weirdly, Carpenter's Halloween is one of the few that was released, that came out to be a big deal, like, right away. And, most of Carpenter's stuff seems to kind of, like, have to set a while before people love it, but except for Halloween.
Because no one had seen shit like that.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, there was a bloodbath. And there's, like, one drop of blood in the whole fucking movie.
Yeah, everybody's just freaked out by it. But
it's a bloodbath. It's crazy. Because we did have Texas Chainsaw.
Again, not a lot of blood in that, but people...
That movie is more horrifying to me than... I mean, mind you, I'm probably desensitized because, like I've said, I've seen Halloween so many times. But there's a lot of... I don't want to say noir, but there's a lot of, like, light and shadow in that film. And, it's so good. The way that they light the mask, coming out of the shadows, the whole thing of... It could be anyone, who you don't know who lives next door to you. You don't know what's going on. What's in the fucking shadows. I just love it. It's just so good. Such a good film. But yeah, that did scare. I wish, because I've heard the audio of the people that watched it the night that it came out from the 70s, and the audio is just fantastic. It's just such a it's so thrilling to hear like people's reactions to something like that. And I wish I could just transport myself. If I had a fucking time machine, that's the first place I'm going. I'm going back to that, New York. I'm in New York.
It was actually Kansas City, I think, that they opened it up.
Well, they opened up in Kansas City. Yes. So I was saying I'm in my hometown, so I'm gonna be in New York. When it opens up in New York, fine. I'll go to Kansas City, I guess. I probably wouldn't go in Kansas City for no offense to Kansas City, but yes, I would like to have experienced that. That would have been cool.
So obviously, this is a 4-knifer from me. It was never going to get any less than that.
We have to give it a rating. We are obviously this is a special edition of Jump Scare, 40th anniversary of The Thing.
Yep,
the movie that Chad loves. I also give it. I give it 4 blood samples. 4 huskies. We could do so many different ratings for this. I also give it 4 knives. Can we do higher than 4 knives? I guess we can't do higher than 4 knives.
We'll just top it off there.
Did you love The Thing? Have you seen The Thing? Do you love The Thing? Do you want to be The Thing? We have seen some badass in person and obviously, online renditions, costumes, interpretations of The Thing cosplay. I mean, people just get really creative with it. And when you see it, it's just like, wow, that looks fucking great. You know what would be amazing? If Rob Bottin just came out, like, sometime before the year ends. He just came out and, like, was it, like, Texas Frightmare or something, one of these fucking conventions. And he's, like, McCready, or he has, like, some crazy rendition where because, there's so many photos of him where he's, like, in the makeup.
Yeah.
And it's him walking around being, The Thing or his cosplay of The Thing. That'd be great. That'd be magical.
Well, I told you, I saw that article where Hugh Jackman went as Wolverine to a comic convention, not in California, but it's like somewhere randomly in the U.S., walked around all day, and everyone just said, man, that's a great costume. Like, no one, they just assumed that the real Hugh Jackman wouldn't be at a comic convention like in Wisconsin walking around, and, like, no one realized it was him all day. That'd be amazing to find out that Rob Bottin's been doing that for years.
That would be actually pretty, yeah. I would love to know that was a real thing. Now, the drinking game for you guys before we say sayonara is, how many times did I say The Thing in this podcast?
Or some variation.
Every time I say it, or Shad says it, you have to take a shot. And with saying that, thank you so much for joining us on our special episode of the 40th anniversary of The Thing. Stay tuned to the horror.
What do we do?
Why don't we just Wait here for a little while. See what happens.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.